Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Tech Leaders Unplugged. And today, well, we have we're proud to announce that we have with us today on Tech Leaders Unplugged the Vice President of Engineering at HubSpot, right? So none other than HubSpot, Mr. Kartik Vishwanath. So thank you for being with us on the show today, Kartik. It's really a pleasure to have you here. We're looking forward to this conversation, and of course, thank you, Wade, as ever, for
Sure.
co-hosting.
Glad to be here.
Tech Leaders Unplugged. All right, gentlemen. So, Kartik, let's start with you, shall we? So, tell us a little bit about you. Your background, your journey. Tell us a little bit about you. Who's Kartik Vishwanath?
Sure. Again, first of all, thank you so much for having me on the podcast. It's a pleasure to be here, speaking with you all. Again, I'd start by saying that whatever I say on this podcast are my views and not my company's views. And with regard to my my professional sort of my journey, when I think about my journey, like I feel like it's been sort of a continuous arc of sort of learning growth from one challenge to another, and that's how I've sort of navigated my sort of career. If I think back, I mean, I actually started, this was a long time ago. I actually started in with a focus on clinical informatics. So I initially started my career working in a pediatrics hospital in a cardiac research department, where I was crunching, data, like a lot of the clinical data, and trying to develop sort of innovative, patient care applications. I focused a lot of my initial career on like medical data modeling. I have a few publications there in like semantic knowledge representations, like medical ontologies, things like that. And while I was doing this work of like processing this large amount of data back in, this was back in the day when we didn't have these nice sort of cloud providers out there that allowed us to crunch our data efficiently. This ignited a passion for distributed computing in me in that time. And this interest sort of eventually led me to this company called Cerner, which is now acquired by Oracle. And Cerner is this EHR company. It's a electronic health record company. And at Cerner, I joined one of their. At that time, the company is going through an interesting transition. They were trying to essentially build out a SaaS version of their EHR system. And so I ended up on their platform team at Cerner. And again, I was really interested in distributed systems and how they can help use these systems to kind of process large data sets, especially in the medical domain. And so I ended up eventually building out various different distributed systems there. Ended up leading their search infrastructure, led their semantic search teams, and during this time, I really honed sort of my skills in distributed systems at scale, but also like operating them in really critical sort of healthcare environments, right? And again, this interest in distributed systems, I started looking for bigger challenges. Now I was looking for challenges at of scale, and this led me to my career at Amazon. So where I started at Amazon, I started on the catalog quality team, which was a new team that Amazon was forming to really understand catalog quality, the product catalog quality at Amazon. And as you can imagine, this was the largest product catalog out there, so it's a very exciting sort of opportunity. And I found this to be I was really drawn to this position and joined this team. And and what that particular experience taught me was like the ability to kind of operate in this space of immense scale, right? So this was the largest product catalog. You can imagine billions of products, billions of features, and we were trying to kind of improve the quality, leveraging machine learning, and which was this was back in the day. We used some really innovative approaches to kind of really improve the quality of the overall Amazon catalog. So as I think back to those days, it really taught me valuable lessons in sort of scalability applications of machine learning, where it can be successful in solving such, in really difficult problems, and where it may not be a good fit. In some problem areas where we tried to apply solutions, it didn't really work out. Where simple heuristics work better, and then again, as you can see a pattern here. I've been really interested in problems of increasing complexity and scale and so on. And so I ended up in AWS, again, an order of magnitude in terms of complexity of distributed systems and the diversity of customers we were serving. So I joined AWS Lambda, which was a new service. I mean, it's relatively new when I joined. And we were sort of, heralding this sort of serverless revolution in those days. And it was a very exciting journey. And what I really learned from my days there was in AWS in general and Lambda particularly, the importance of operational excellence and how you sort of imbue that into the ethos of your engineering culture, right? That is what really made AWS tick and be very successful. And while we were building out innovative services, we were really, really laser focused on operational excellence there. So again, while I was doing all this, I realized that throughout my career, I've been really focused on building sort of internal platforms, internal-facing platforms, internal-facing systems that I used to build products, and so I'd really not focused a lot on building out developer experiences, right? If you look at my career up to this point, it was really focused on building out really hard, solving really hard technical problems with distributed systems, and architecting these systems and building teams, to help kind of build and operate these systems. But I'd really built, sort of thought about developer experiences. So I got this really unique opportunity at Square or Block, where Block was actually building out a developer platform, a third-party developer platform. Block, for folks who are not familiar, was formerly known as Square. It is the famous fintech company, and so there I took on this opportunity of really building out a developer platform. It's really taught me how to really think about developer experiences, which I'd really not spent a lot of time thinking about until then. And I also at Block, I also ended up owning sort of the developer IAM, which was my first foray into leading security teams, which is another new thing. So again, I would say that my role at Block was instrumental in kind of teaching me about building and managing sort of these developer experiences, but also about security, operating or sort of leading security teams and so on. So now at HubSpot, as you can see, it's been a long career, but I'm sort of leveraging a lot of my diverse experiences that I've gained over the years to lead a significant sort of infrastructure organization here. And the infrastructure organization that I lead here covers everything from our data infrastructure to our developer experience, internal developer experience. When I say developer experience, the internal developer platform, our SRE, our reliability, observability, traffic management. So I lead a sort of a significant organization right now at HubSpot, and I don't know. I think I've talked a lot about my journey. I don't know if that covers everything, or if there's anything you'd like to talk about more.
Oh wow! I mean, it's quite our journey, and whenever I think of, usually what I do is tell us a little bit about you and then tell us a little bit about the company. But I think that I'm going to skip that part because at least in the business world, everyone who's breathing and alive knows what HubSpot is. But I would like to move on to the topic, right? So we're discussing the topic, which is we named it Digital Nexus Dive, diving deep into the platform infrastructure innovations. But I also realized that you also wanted to cover some other aspects that have to do with the cultural aspect. So can you tell us a little bit about that and why you chose this particular topic?
Sure. So I would say that one of the things that I really like about HubSpot, working at HubSpot, is that HubSpot really obsesses about our culture, right? The way we think about our culture is one of our founders has a great way of putting it. He says that we should treat culture as a product for our employees, right? So there is a product that we sell to our customers, which is the HubSpot product, but culture is the internal product that we develop for our employees, right? And so in some ways we can apply principles of product management to improve this culture, to evolve this culture, to achieve the right outcomes. And when I say culture, what I broadly mean is like how we work as individuals, as a company. Now, when I think about infrastructure teams, I do think there's some nuance to that, right? Like, so I do think that infrastructure teams, especially in any large companies, are constantly faced with trade-offs all the times. And sometimes, as leaders, I feel it's our responsibility to equip our teams with the right guidance in terms of like how do you approach these trade-offs. And essentially, in my view, the way you approach these trade-offs defines the culture of your particular infrastructure organization, right? And I can take some specific, sort of examples or trade-offs that I think about when I think about infrastructure teams and organizations. So one particular trade-off that comes to mind is standardization versus flexibility, right? So when we talk about internal infrastructure, is the internal infrastructure organization, are we enablers of innovation, or are we trying to protect a paved path that we have set for the organization, right? There's always going to be some push and pull, because as the rest of the product organization innovates, they will want to in the process of innovation, they will kind of want to experiment and try different ways of solving a problem. But at the same time, once you have established a standard as an infrastructure organization, that is to ensure consistency and efficiency, right? So in some ways, by limiting flexibility, you get consistency and efficiency, and your product organizations can ship faster. But you don't want to stifle innovation either. So there is this trade-off that always happens in when your customers, when I talk about other engineering teams, are talking to infrastructure teams. Again, there's other trade-offs like feature richness or simplicity, right? When you design an infrastructure, when you design a platform, do you want it to be a Swiss Army knife, or do you want it to perform one thing really well, right? And allow some level of customization. Now, if you make it complex, it's going to be more versatile, but then it might not be great for adoption, right? Because people may not know how to use it, or the simplicity usually aids in adoption. So you've got to think about that. Innovation and stability is another interesting one, right? Sometimes you'll notice in infrastructure organizations there are some databases or systems that have been running for years, and you'll often hear people question them and say, "Hey, why aren't we switching to this new database, or this new system?" And there's a reason, because sometimes pushing for innovation can compromise stability or resilience of your system. You've built a certain operational maturity by operating a system over years, and you've gained experience. And so all of these are trade-offs. And so I can go down this list. I can talk about cost and performance. You could talk about scalability versus resource optimization, like how much do you want your system to automatically handle growth versus so I feel like these are the aspects that I feel, by somewhat not formalizing but educating your infrastructure organizations, that hey, it's normal to have these these trade-offs, right? Uh, and it is normal to face these trade-offs in this organization, and then kind of revisit them, right, periodically as an organizational leadership team, and have a point of view on these things usually helps your team. And I feel like uh, that's a key point that I wanted to lay out, kind of present as like we should as leaders be intentionally thinking about these things and have a point of view, and perhaps reiterate those points of view, and revisit this, right, as the organization evolves and as you kind of build and grow your platform.
All right. Yeah. Well, certainly a number of questions are starting to pop into my head. But I'm going to pass on the mic to Wade because I know he has his own, and these are very interesting and deeper ended questions. Wade, back to you, please.
Yeah, so I remember when I first started playing with HubSpot. It was before it was a CRM. It was back almost like a social platform, like Buffer or some of these others. And I remember when they announced that they were going to build out a CRM solution. It was free back then for quite some time. I was like, wow, that is a big apple to bite, because you had the big monsters out there already that were very dominant in the SaaS market for CRM.
Right.
So kudos to the company. They've really over the years built out a really solid CRM in a very competitive market. One thing I did notice though is that whenever you're looking at all the other satellite applications around the ecosystem, HubSpot's like the first integrated CRM, and I think Salesforce, because of their history, they really approached it as their platform. If you want to integrate with their solution, you build it on a Salesforce as a pass, and that's how it integrates. Even though they do have APIs, and I don't want to make it sound like they don't. HubSpot's very different, and you didn't go after, hey, you got to build a HubSpot app to integrate with us. It's been integration through APIs, and that obviously is a very different integration challenge. And a lot of people think about it as the developers and the APIs, but the infrastructure is really the one that's taking the brunt of the hit. Can you tell me some about the challenges of managing the infrastructure team in such a highly integrated ecosystem?
Right. I think that's a great question. I mean, I will start by clarifying a few things. Wait, like now HubSpot is, we have now, I don't know if you've looked at our latest branding. We now are proud to call ourselves a customer platform, right? So we've moved away from even the CRM wording. And so our goal is now to be a true customer platform, right? So we want to be the customer platform for scaling businesses across, right? So as you mentioned, with all your software integrations, with all the resources you need to connect your marketing, sales, content, customer service, we want to be that connected platform, right? So I think that's so one thing that has really worked is we've been very clear with what we want us to be, right? When talking about infrastructure, I think one thing that we have internally always managed, we internally keep telling ourselves in internal channels and all our communication is that we want our customers to feel that HubSpot offers a crafted experience versus a cobbled together sort of an experience for our customers, right? So when you use a HubSpot product or a feature, it should feel like everything is sort of seamless and sort of crafted together. And in some ways, that comes back to the infrastructure strategy, right? I touched upon it a little bit when I talked about standardization versus flexibility, right? We've had a very strong culture of building, of thinking about, at the infrastructure level, thinking about sort of platforms, right? How do we sort of use platforms as our force multiplier as we build out new features and build consistency across these new features, right? So we have really, adopted a very, so if you look at it at HubSpot, if I look at the infrastructure strategy, we have a few really great paved paths of building products and, features and shipping them really fast, right? And we've put a lot of focus on making sure that our developer effectiveness or developer efficiency in using this paved path is extremely high, right? So we really doubled down on that strategy, and that's really helped us because as we have matured this platform, for us to kind of adapt to the changing business landscape, or for example, when Gen AI took off, if you look at our chief product officer gave a keynote at our inbound conference this year about the product innovations that we have shipped. At the end of the keynote, you'll see there's this endless scroll of the product features we've managed to ship in the last year, and it boggles my mind as to how quickly these innovations we've managed to ship, and that speaks very highly of sort of this standardization philosophy we've adopted across the platform. There's few ways of doing building things on our stack, but those ways are very well supported and integrated throughout our stack. Like you get observability for free, you get a lot of things for free by adopting the standard platform way of doing things within HubSpot. So I think that strategy has really played well, and I'm glad that you notice it as a customer as well when you work with when you're kind of using our product.
Great. And then another thing too is I was thinking about your background with machine learning and some of the things that you had earlier in your career. Tell me a little bit how those kind of you pulled forward in your current responsibilities. And I think a lot of folks that are young in their careers that may be watching the show, they really only understand the present of where they're at, and they can't really see how a career builds and the amount of changes and the pivots and things that you have to give yourself some grace around the learning process, and how you absolutely can build upon previous experiences to carve out your own unique journey in this tech space. Tell me a little bit about how you've used your past to support your current.
Yeah, that's a great that's a good question. I think the way I've used my past, I mean, machine learning is one area, but like in general, the way I try to think about things is like in any new role I've taken or any new challenge, as I've navigated my career and I made career decisions, one sort of thing that I've kept on top of my mind is that I always want to be, any new role that I pick up, I don't want to be like just if I take a new role, I don't want to be 100% sure that I can that I know everything about this role and I can knock this out of the park, right? Like I always want to be in this slightly uncomfortable zone, right? Where there are parts of this role that I have to learn, right? Or there's a new domain or a new problem space that I have to learn about in order to be in order to grow, right? And so I tend to keep myself slightly uncomfortable always, and that has helped me learn, right? So when I'm taking on a new challenge, I may not know the entire problem space, but I do feel like that enables me to learn, enables me to kind of reach out to people, talk to people who are experts in that area, and kind of establish, and learn from them. So in my mind, I've anchored on learning and growth, and the career progression has happened somewhat orthogonally to that. That's the way I view it. If there is an interesting problem, I really sometimes get obsessed by it, and I want to really like go join this team or this project. I would really want to work on this, and that's what's driven me to take on, I guess, more challenging problems or projects, and gravitate towards things that have somehow shaped my career. That's how I can put it.
Yeah, I think you make some great points that, if you aren't stretching, if you aren't uncomfortable, that means you aren't stretching yourself, and you have to stretch to grow. And part of that is just having a, whether they call it a growth mindset or a learning, kind of aspect to your career growth, always be able to push yourself comfortably and know that is just part of growing, is to be uncomfortable. And as long as you have the tools to learn and ask and get support, before you know it, you become an expert, and that becomes in your rearview mirror as you're building and building and building, and to the point where, 20, 30 years into your career, there's just so much covered areas that you've been able to cover, as long as you don't just stop and get complacent. So I think that's the key. Be comfortable in the uncomfortable space, right? So, all right, go ahead, Carlos. I know we're coming near end.
Yeah, thank you, Wade. Well, the thing is that, unfortunately, we're coming up on time, right? Time flies when you're having fun, as they say. But the last question that I would have for you, Kartik, is it's a little bit more from the layman's perspective, from the user end perspective, right? It's simple, right? We're facing 2024. It's right ahead of us. So, from your perspective, from the engineering side, what would you tell the general public of what can they expect, regarding HubSpot, that's gonna, that they should be on the lookout for, or what's gonna wow them? Is there something like new developments that we should all be paying attention to? Just very generally speaking, what would you tell viewers and potential users that to be on the lookout for, what to expect in 2024?
Yeah, I would definitely say that HubSpot is a rocket ship. I would, as if you're customers, you should be very excited. There's a lot of internal innovation that's happening at an incredible pace at HubSpot, right? We really embraced Gen AI. There's a lot of really honestly, some of the product features we've been talking about are honestly really exciting, right? So, and on top of that, like I said, we have a very aligned platform strategy, like an infrastructure strategy. So we'll enable our teams to ship these things also at a very fast clip. So I am really excited for the upcoming year. I feel like HubSpot's got a great team of engineers, outstanding team of engineers who are really passionate about, are obsessed about our customers. And so I'm really excited to see this innovations that are gonna come out of the HubSpot Eng team next year. So I'm looking forward to it, and I know from internal plans we have a ton of features and a ton of really exciting things planned for our customers next year.
Yeah, and I'm one of them, because I'm going to be on the lookout for these innovations as a HubSpot user myself. So the only thing left for me to do, Kartik, is thank you. Thank you again for having been with us, for sharing your journey, your insights, and just for being here. I think it's a great experience to talk to someone who's from the heart of a platform that we all know, that we all use, and it's just a monster, right? So thank you again. And there's only one quick announcement that I would like to make. This interview is the last one of season 1 of Tech Leaders Unplugged. So there's going to be a few. There's going to be a few changes in terms of format and content also. So in that sense, this is going to be, it's a heck of a way to close season 1 with Kartik, our guest here. And please, for those of you who are watching, look down below. That's our website, Tech Leaders Unplugged. Be on the lookout, bookmark it, because we're going to be announcing the new themes and the new formats, and lots of changes that are coming in the next few weeks. So stay tuned on techleadersunplugged.com right down below. And that's all I have to say right now. Thank you again, Kartik. Thank you, Wade. And please, Kartik, stay with us as we go off the air.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much. This was great. Thank you.
Excellent. We had a great time, Kartik. Thank you. All right. See you next time. Stay tuned.